Photoshop file, we do the same thing that we have been doing to import any file. Premiere Pro will, however, recognize the layers in the Photoshop file, and it will show you this dialog box. In here, you will have the option to merge all layers, merge just some of the layers. You see how they become available once you make this choice. You can check him and uncheck him. You can also choose individual layers, or you could bring whatever layers you choose as a sequence. Let's try that one. You see that Premiere Pro created a folder or bin in the project panel, and inside of it there are layers from the Photoshop file, and there is a sequence that we can open by double-clicking it. Let's open it. In here, we can see that Premiere Pro placed the layers in the order that they were in the Photoshop file. However, in here, they are separate tracks that I can animate individually. I will try that. Even though we have not talked about keyframing yet, I will still add keyframes to the clips to animate the lower third, just to show the power of bringing the individual Photoshop layers into Premiere Pro. First, I will do a zoom to fit in the timeline by pressing the slash key just above the Enter or Return key on your keyboard. This will let me better see the tracks. Now I will select the top one. This is the red line. I will animate it so that it goes from left to right. Now I will select the second one. This is the lower third title. I will animate it so that it goes from right to left. Now the third, which is the lower third name, I will animate from top to bottom, and also I will animate its opacity so that it fades up. And finally, I will animate the green bar so that it goes from the bottom up. You will see that the bottom layer is just a black solid. I would prefer if the lower third is on transparent, so I will delete this layer. This is how the completed animation looks. I can now nest this sequence onto a different one and show the animated lower third. So I will import a new clip. And now I will add the lower third sequence. As you can see, this works great. There are some things to point out, so I will delete everything from the project panel and start again. Let's import the Photoshop file again, and this time I will choose Sequence again, but notice this drop-down menu here at the bottom of this dialog. We could choose between document size and layer size. Last time we chose document size, which is the default. This time, let's choose layer size and see what this is all about. When I open the sequence, we can see that each individual layer is treated as an individual clip, not part of a bigger picture. It is placed in the middle of each and every layer, and each and every layer is the size of the layer itself. Keep in mind this behavior when importing Photoshop files into Premiere Pro. Even after I have imported this file into Premiere Pro, I will still be able to edit it. All I need to do is right-click it in the project panel and choose Edit Original. This will open the file in Photoshop, and I will be able to change anything I want. Let's try it. I right-click the clip in the project panel and choose Edit Original. You can see that Photoshop starts opening. Now I can see the file in Photoshop, I can change anything I want. I will make the color of the green bar red. Now I will save it. After I save it in Photoshop, I can go back to Premiere Pro, and you can see that changing the color of the bar happens immediately. Now let's move on to importing an Illustrator file in Premiere Pro, which, as you know, an Illustrator file is a vector file because Illustrator is a vector file application. I should be able to enlarge this clip all I want without losing resolution. I'll delete now everything inside of the Premiere Pro project because I want to start anew. Let's go ahead and import the Illustrator file exactly the same way that we've been doing so far. So we can double-click on an empty space here in the project panel, or we can go File, Import. It doesn't really matter. Let's just go ahead and import the Illustrator file. It is called logo.ai. Even though this in Illustrator contains 2 layers, Premiere Pro ignored those layers and it brought the file in as a single layer. I will create a sequence now and place this file in there. I'll make it 1920 by 1080. And now to place the Illustrator file in there, I just drag it. You can see that it placed it in the middle of the screen. This is the default behavior. I will now move it. I can double-click it in the program monitor and I can see now control points. Once you see the control points, you can just click and drag and position it wherever you want. If I want it bigger, all I have to do is drag one of these control points in the corners, and I can also use the Effect Controls panel, which will show me the effects assigned to this clip, provided that the clip is selected. I will now change the scale value to 600%. The clip starts looking a little pixelated. This is because Premiere Pro will rasterize the clip, and it is the raster version of the clip that gets enlarged and not the vector. If I want to make this clip large without losing quality, I will have to do so in Illustrator. Let's go ahead and right-click the Illustrator file in the project panel and choose Edit Original. Now, just like it happened with the Photoshop file, Illustrator will open and I will be able to edit the file any way I want. I'm going to make this much larger and I will save. Once this is saved, I can go back into Premiere Pro and notice that the change, just like in Photoshop, is immediate. Importing graphics from Photoshop and/or Illustrator into Premiere Pro is rather easy. All you have to remember is that you have access to the different layers from Photoshop files, and that Premiere Pro will rasterize Illustrator files when you bring them in. In the next section, we will continue importing footage into Premiere Pro. We will import other video files. See you then.